This morning, we are waking up to strong, gusting winds in the metro area and snow in the high country. This is a live look right now over downtown Denver and Loveland and the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels by the ski area there. The wind, of course, forcing residents, especially out on the eastern plains, dealing with power outages right now. This is a look at the map from poweroutage.us. Right now, there are at least 7,000 people with outages, where most of the outages are in Lincoln County. These winds could cause the number of outages to go up.
These high winds are creating some issues out at the airport as well. You can see flags blowing in the bottom right corner. According to FlightAware, there are 16 delays and 23 cancellations. Blizzard-like conditions across the eastern plains means big problems for travel this morning. Right now, a large portion of I-70 is closed from Aurora to the Kansas border.
That's right. 9 reporter Brianna Fernandez is live near that closure for us this morning. Brianna, we've seen that wind whipping you back and forth this morning. What are you experiencing right now?
You guys, and it's so chilly. I am like literally shaking right now. So it's windy, it is chilly out here. Now for those heading out, the eastern plains along I-70 heading west and eastbound has been shut down. It actually shut down just before 10 last night. So if you're not familiar with this area, it's between E470 along I-70 just before you hit Watkins. I do want to show you some of the conditions that we're seeing out here, especially with that traffic volume starting to pick up in this area. So you can see I-70 right here. So people are having to get off this exit. Once they get off this exit, they're going to make a U-turn because they're going to head back to I-70 heading westbound. And that's because we have crews out here that have put up some cones, that have put up some road closure signs, and they are letting folks, telling them, hey, this area is not open. You won't be able to get through. Conditions are horrible out there. I actually just spoke to Colorado Department of Transportation. They actually just emailed me less than a minute ago, and they were telling me that conditions are just awful out there. So you have icy, windy conditions, and then you have low visibility out there, which is why I-70 in both directions it's closed. So they say that the worst, it's right near Lyman, which is why we're seeing some closures out there, as well as from Elizabeth to I-70 and then Colorado Springs to I-70. So tons of problems out here along I-70. And you guys, we were seeing a line of semis just waiting on the side of the road, trying to wait out this closure. But a lot of people are trying to see exactly when this area will reopen. Colorado Department of Transportation, they were telling me that right now they don't have an ETA on when that road can reopen. So this is going to be a mess for a lot of folks, especially if this is part of their morning drive. Now, checking those road conditions for us is our traffic anchor, Erica Lopez. Hey, Erica, what are you seeing on your end?
You know what, Brianna, we have the slightest bit of good news for drivers, because in the last few minutes, CDOT just reported that a portion of I-70, a small portion, but we'll take it, is back open. So westbound traffic is now open from Lyman to E470. We're still dealing with that full eastbound closure, like Brianna was just talking about, from E470 all the way to Burlington, but one stretch is back open. We're going to look at that in more detail in just a moment, but I want to kind of show you what's going on across the state. I-70 in the mountains, it's been snowing. We can see snow out along the interstate this morning. Semis taking breaks because they do need chains if you're going to be traveling up that way. Still no flow here at I-70 in Deer Trail. We've been dealing with, again, this closure, like Brianna mentioned, since 10 o'clock last night of I-70 on the eastern portion of the state. Dry and relatively quiet in the North Washington area here at I-25 and 58th Avenue. But south of the metro here in Larkspur, it is snowy and conditions have been dicey on I-25 from Castle Rock into Larkspur Monument and down toward the Springs. Let's take you over to our map this morning. So again, I want to update you on that closure we were just talking about. Eastbound I-70 still closed from E470 to Burlington. Westbound side open from Lyman to E470, but it's still closed westbound from Lyman to Burlington, so maybe a little bit confusing there. A lot of other roads closed, like Brianna mentioned. Highway 86, Highway 24 from Elizabeth to Lyman, Springs to Lyman, as well as Highway 40 this morning, shut down from Lyman to the Kansas state line. Additionally, if you're heading out in the metro this morning, we do have a westbound 76 crash at Vasquez. Otherwise, been relatively quiet in the metro. We're seeing a little bit of stop and go on either side of 270 in Commerce City. In the mountains, though, we do have that closure still of Loveland Pass between I-70 and before A Basin this morning. We want to get a check on the forecast with senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi. We've been dealing with those blizzard conditions, and that's what's had the roads closed, Chris.
Yeah, exactly right, Erica. That's that reason we've got a weather impact alert for this morning as well. We've got that blizzard warning until 9 a.m. for Kit Carson and Yuma counties on the eastern plains. Strong winds until noon. And in fact, I got a text from a friend who drove from Parker to Kiowa last night. He said it was the worst drive of his life. Took him 3 hours on what should normally be a half-hour drive doing that last night. And we're still seeing some of that snow even there along Highway 86, also on the far eastern plains. And still seeing some light snow for us here in the mountains, but the steadiest and heaviest snow for us here in Douglas as well as Albert County. This is pretty light stuff, though. Not much accumulation from that. It's just the wind and the far eastern plains. That's where we're certainly still looking at blizzard conditions from about Stratton on east to the Kansas state line. Wind, it's whipping a bit, but not nearly as bad as it was last night when we were dealing with those 50, 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Today, 43, windy and cloudy for us here in Denver. And still looking at that blizzard warning until 9 a.m. this morning. Another maybe couple inches of snow for us out across the far eastern plains. But it's that wind that is the real story. More details on when that wind comes to a close and perhaps hitting the 80s next week. Details on that, my full forecast. Oh, Matt, I'm sending things over to you, Matt. I forgot about this. My friend, Matt Renew, Man in the Mountains. Matt, you're up there. We've been focusing, and I kind of want to mention you here specifically because we've been focusing so much on the eastern plains and those blizzard conditions out there. But in the mountains, we're also seeing some of that snow and that wind. How are the roads up there?
Yeah, Chris, I'll tell you what, nothing you want to forget about, I'll tell you that. We've had winds up here as well at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels along the Continental Divide. I will say they are starting to let up a little bit, not at the frequency we've seen all morning, but they still are gusting at times up over 60 miles an hour. You can see right now because of the Loveland Pass closure at the top of the hour, they're going to close I-70 here at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels, both east and westbound, to let all those hazmat trucks pass through. And so that's going to back traffic up a little bit here at the tunnel as everyone waits for those trucks to move on through. That closure is at the top of the hour. These people still sitting here, so that's going to be anywhere from a 10 to 12, maybe even a 15-minute delay at times while they let those trucks go through. So that's what you're seeing here. That's why the road's closed. The other problem people are experiencing here in the high country, at least at the high passes, are those winds and gusts that are blowing. And here's what it looked like on I-70 earlier this morning. As we were heading up to the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels, you could see that snow was blowing around, that gust started kicking in, and then your visibility just drops to nothing in a matter of seconds. You can't see the road, you can't see anything from the side. You got to stop, slow down, put on the hazards, wait for it to clear up, and then move back up as that wind dies down. That's the sort of weather conditions we're seeing in the high country all morning long. The storm rolled in yesterday, it was pretty gentle, and then overnight those winds kicked in and we started seeing that reduced visibility really impacting our drivers along I-70 in the high country. About 6 or 7 inches of snow here at the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels. That's about what Loveland's reporting, although it's been snowing pretty consistently since 5:30 this morning when they marked that, so they probably got another inch or so on top of that. A pretty good powder day, and this is all at a time when spring break skiers are making their way to Colorado, coming from schools all over the country to enjoy some of the great snow we've got in Colorado. But you got to get to the hill first, and you got to be cautious at getting there. Look at that, everyone's moving again. All those hazmat trucks have moved their way out of the tunnel, and everyone can now start flowing through and make their way back out of the high country. Reporting from the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels, I'm Matt Renew, 9 News. Corey Jordan, feels good right now, you know. No wind. It's about 7 degrees, so it's a little chilly, but I'll take it because that wind's died down a little bit.
I mean, you're exactly right, Matt. That wind makes the biggest impact right there.
Right, it does. I mean, you're just driving along and it's hunky-dory and everything's dandy, and then that wind kicks in and it's both hands on the wheel, one, because it's going to rock the car, but it also really lowers your visibility, and it happens in a second, and so it's just good for people to be aware of that. It also freezes the road a little bit more and blows that snow over it, which creates slick conditions. And so, yeah, that's something to be aware of. The winds have died down, but they're still gusting up here. We're going to be experiencing it for a while.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We can't wait for conditions to be a little bit hunkier-dorier, if that's how you say that. All right, Matt. Thank you. We will continue to follow the high winds and blizzard conditions throughout the morning. You can stay up to date on the latest conditions on 9 News Plus. Download on your TV. Watch for free.
Developing this morning, 3 police officers are recovering in the hospital, and a man is dead after a shootout last night in Pueblo. This started just after 7 p.m. Pueblo police say they got a call that an officer had been shot in a neighborhood just west of I-25 off of Northern Avenue. Pueblo officers and Pueblo County Sheriff's deputies arrived on scene, and they say more shots were fired. The man they're calling a suspect was killed. In all, 3 officers were taken to the hospital. We're making calls right now to see how those officers are doing. Once we learn more, we'll keep you updated.
New this morning, right now, Thornton police are asking for your help finding this guy that you're seeing on your screen, who they believe broke into several cars in South Thornton last week. Police say that all the break-ins happened last Thursday. So these are photos from a camera that caught a glimpse of him. They aren't very clear, we understand that, but you can see that he was wearing a Gap hoodie and a face mask at the time. If you know this person or if you have any information, Thornton police want to hear from you. You can give their tip line a call. That number is listed at the bottom of your screen, 720-977-5069.
Right now, police are asking for your help finding a man accused of sexually assaulting a woman on a trail in Littleton on Tuesday. Police say this happened while the woman and her dog walked along the Highline Canal near Horseshoe Park. Investigators say a man riding a 2-wheel electric scooter approached her, groped her, and then took off. If you know anything about this case, you're asked to call the Littleton Police Department's non-emergency line at the bottom of your screen. That number is 303-794-1551.